And all right, well, welcome to New BU. Glad you can make it for this meetup series. Today's topic is incorporating nutrition benefit programs into your farm or market. And we have a guest speaker, the wonderful Heather Hulsey, to share her knowledge that she's acquired over the years. Before we get into that, I'm going to just do a couple housekeeping things, and then I'll let her introduce herself. I'll also wrap up with a little bit of housekeeping. And oh my gosh, Heather, this is the Murphy's Law thing, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. It's gonna work. Just slowly. Okay, so yeah, we'll go over a little bit of background about Fab, Market Link, and NewBU for folks that might be new. And then Heather will talk about SNAP and a free equipment grant for those of you that might not have it. She'll also go over what alternative payment types you could consider to adding to your market or farm. And we'll wrap up with some resources and a look ahead at to upcoming NewBU topics. Turn it over to you, Heather, or I can run through this real quick.
Okay. That's fine. If you want to go to the next slide. So a little bit about us, just in case, do you think everybody wants to go through SNAP? I don't know. We were going to take an assessment of whether
Yeah,
you all need SNAP information or you already have this from just
yeah. So
working with
maybe,
Brianna.
yeah, raise of hands who already accepts Snap and who already accepts Snap here. I know Bidwell Cannon does, Virginia does, Emmett's Farmers Market. I'm pretty sure you do as well.
We
Michelle.
did. We did
Oh,
accept it, but this year we decided not to because there was so little participation last year that it was it just seemed like it's I mean, we had $300 for the whole year, for the whole season. So um we just decided not to do it this year.
okay, understood. I saw Michelle, you raised your hand also, and then
So yeah, we can skip through the SNAP stuff if we feel like this group is already knowledgeable on that and move to the other
okay,
benefits.
right. Then want to introduce yourself
Oh,
and then we'll
sure.
skip through.
Hi,
Okay.
y'all. I'm Heather Halsey. I'm Fab's Director of Operations, and a little bit about me in the background. I formerly, as my last position, led Maryland's statewide nutrition incentive and matching program called Maryland Market Money, where we matched all the benefits like SNAP, FMNP, WIC, like anything. We did a lot of other food access work too, like creating community refrigerator programs and farm to school programs and just all kinds of connecting farmers with benefits recipients or populations that were experiencing food insecurity. I also have a lot of farmers market experience as director of programs for Maryland Farmers Market Association. And then my other background prior to that was food hub management. And there's just my resume right there with a lot of stuff. Um, and then I guess that's it. Yeah. I'm a food nerd, gardener, Chihuahua obsessed, all that stuff. Brianna knows. And then I think if we want to skip through the SNAP and free equipment grant stuff, since you all are pretty much familiar, we can hop on. I would say take us to the Sunbucks page, Brianna, just to touch on that briefly, since that's a little bit different. Um,
Yeah, and I can share these slides so if anybody who wants to
yes.
review the material later, and they can always reach out with questions. So,
I wanted to touch on the Sunbucks program that is kind of relatively new within the last few years, and it's like a summer SNAP program for grocery benefit for kids. And just for some clarity, it works exactly the same way that SNAP does. So, like, if you're able to accept SNAP, you're able to accept Sunbucks. And not every state in the country is participating in this. So, the USDA funds it. And then, just like every other program, the state tells them whether they want to participate or not. So, most states have, but there are a few that haven't. Um, The Sunbucks program provides $120 for the summer in grocery benefits per eligible school age child while school is out. So, like if they have a 3 month break for school, they would probably break that up by giving them $120, so like $40 a month. And normally that gets loaded to their SNAP card. Um, but in cases where the family doesn't have a SNAP card, they will issue them a separate Sunbucks card that works just like a regular SNAP card in your state. So basically, the qualifications are school-age children whose families receive SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, or other certain income-based benefits. So if the family is already qualifying for another federal nutrition benefit like that, then they're going to give them this benefit also $120 per child, per school age child. Assuming, and the reason for this is assuming that those kids are not going to get school lunch during the summer. So this is to try to help um, feed kids during the summer when they're not getting those automatic school meals. Um, Children who attend a school that offers the National School Lunch Program or School Breakfast Program and are eligible for free or reduced price school meals, they might get automatically enrolled. Like their school might automatically enroll them. And then benefits, like I said, can be loaded onto the family's regular SNAP card or sometimes a separate Sunbucks card. And then children who are not automatically enrolled can still be eligible. So maybe they don't go to a school that gets free and reduced lunch, etc., but they might qualify. Usually each state has an application that if families are interested in receiving this benefit, that they can also apply if they didn't already automatically get it. So that does exist too. So you basically, whatever agency in your own state that administers SNAP, the SNAP program, they would probably have a Sunbucks program. And like I said, they have to be participating. You can go to the next slide, Brianna. And we'll take questions at the end with everything. And then just touching again on MarketLink's program grants and services. We do provide a SNAP equipment grant for any farmers market or direct marketing farmer that's looking for free SNAP equipment. So that's a thing. And then if you're processing $500 or more in federal nutrition benefits, so not just SNAP, it might be WIC, it might be FMNP, then that would qualify you for a free subsequent year to continue with that grant coverage. We also have the SNAP Online grant, and that is a kind of like an add-on to the SNAP equipment grant. You must qualify for the regular SNAP equipment grant first to get the online grant, but basically that gets you an online e-commerce platform grown by a subscription to that. And it's kind of like online inventory and online ordering.
I think we have everything planted, no?
I'm sorry?
I think she didn't realize she was
Oh,
unmuted.
okay.
They might be planting things right now. It
Oh,
sounded like
okay.
she said, "I think we have
Okay.
everything planted." But while you're interrupted, in Mary's case, because it's a new grant cycle, even if she only did $300 of sales, it's
Correct.
quite possible that she could have this year free to
Correct.
process. So just want to call, Mary, I understand it might not be worth it for you with all the training or what have you, but there is an opportunity to have that
Correct.
equipment for free.
So yeah, so we have renewed our grant with the USDA for this, and that new grant started October 1st of 2025. So if you qualified and didn't meet that federal nutrition benefit processing $500 threshold last year, um, you could technically reapply in our new grant cycle, and we would just treat it as a fresh new grant. So that is an opportunity for anybody who's interested. And then a little bit about our software is that we can also do electronic payments for FMNP and incentive programs. So we work with Indiana's FMNP program and a couple other regional incentive programs throughout the country. And yeah, we don't have to touch too much on that. Go ahead on the next slide. Okay, so now here's what we came for today. What alternative types of payments should you consider? And I'm going to try to explain federal nutrition benefits beyond SNAP, nutrition incentive programs, and then produce prescription and OTC benefits that people may have. So go ahead and Next slide. Awesome. So first we're going to talk about the EWIC program. And so something a little confusing, WIC recipients get multiple benefits. So that is the Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children. It was mandated to switch to an electronic format. It used to be paper vouchers everywhere across the country, but in 2020, the USDA really encouraged everybody to modernize and put it on an EBT style debit card. So that's pretty much what most states are off and territories are operating on. There might be a couple stragglers that are still using paper vouchers, but for the most part, it's a card now. Who authorizes WIC vendors? So just to explain how all the funding works, the funding comes from USDA, and then the states or tribal territories or like other territories like Guam, Puerto Rico, stuff like that. Everybody has their own WIC authority, like a WIC agency, and they actually manage the program the way that they want to. As long as they adhere to a certain set of like core rules from USDA, they're allowed to administer their WIC program in their own state or territory, however they want, for the most part. Um, so those states or territories, those WIC agencies are actually the ones who authorize the WIC vendors. It's a little different than SNAP because SNAP, you're getting authorized at the national level, where WIC, you're getting authorized at the state level. And WIC agencies are usually housed within a state's Department of Health or Human Services. That's usually where the WIC program lives within a state government. And just to make it a little confusing or not, so there's different types of WIC. So sometimes people think that Farmers Market Nutrition Program WIC checks are just WIC. That's only one benefit. There is also the regular WIC, which is usually like proteins and cereals and eggs and milk and things like that. It's a very set product list that each state approves. And then they also get a fruit and vegetable benefit. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because that's something potentially that farmers and farmers markets can accept for their products. So the EWIC fruit and vegetable benefit, sometimes it's called the cash value benefit. So you'll see it, and sometimes it's even called the fruit and vegetable voucher. It's got all kinds of names, but it's all the same benefit. And what normally happens is any WIC recipients get a certain allotment per family member for these fruit and vegetables. So mostly it's called the cash value benefit, but like I said, your state might call it something different. But it's basically just for fruit and vegetables. And some states, it can be accepted by farmers at the discretion of the state WIC authority. So your WIC authority has to have like a program in place for farmers to be able to accept this. Some do, some do not. And I know right now, currently, our organization is working with multiple states to try to kind of shepherd them in that process of creating a farmer program. Because right now, that fruit and vegetable benefit, all of that money just goes to grocery stores because that's where the fruit and vegetables are available. But we want to try to really refocus that money towards farmers, especially. Now, the other thing here, farmers market entities cannot accept EWIC directly per USDA rules. So it's different than SNAP. SNAP, it can be accepted at like the farmers market info booth, or it can be accepted by a farmer directly. For WIC, the rules is that the recipient must process it with the end user. So it's not something that can be processed at the farmers market booth. Farmers markets can't do that as an entity. So it would have to be with the farmers, with the vendors. And how that flushes out in real life is that you're at a farmer's market. It would have to be that the shoppers would have to go straight to the farmer to process the card. So the farmers would have to have their own equipment to process that benefit. It's not something that you could do it like the farmer's market booth and get a voucher or a token and then go spend it. It doesn't work that way. Um, and then, so applications for recipients and vendors are usually rolling. So that means it's usually year round that you can sign up with whoever to do this with your local WIC agency. And then funding and redemption are year round. So there's no seasonality to this program. The recipients get these benefits year round, every month of the year. And then who receives the fruit and vegetable benefit or the cash value benefit? All WIC recipients. So basically, right now, as it stands, the WIC monthly benefit is at $54 for breastfeeding mothers, and then they get $27 for young children. And those benefits can stack for families with multiple recipients. So it could be mom getting $54 and then two kids getting $27 each. And if a family has multiple children involved, that fruit and vegetable benefit really stacks up. Like that's a significant amount of money every month that they're getting. And then how big is the opportunity to capture this fruit and vegetable sales? There are, to put it this way, there's approximately 6.8 million participants per month right now. So think about that. That's a lot of people in every state. So if you want to learn more about EWIC in your state, um, you can look on your WIC program's website in your own state. If you're having trouble finding that, or you want to find out whether they do process fruit and vegetable benefits, or if you know that they do not do that and you would like them to, you can advocate for that with your WIC agency, like letting farmers accept this benefit would be really beneficial. We are also happy to get involved in those conversations too, because we actually have like a path for them to do that and know how to make it happen. Um, and just for some reference too, Fab's Total Pay software can process EWIC cards in almost every state. So there's an example at the bottom of like what the EWIC cards look like in California, Maryland, and Indiana. But it's just a debit style card in most states.
Yeah, and I just want to
Yeah,
chime in real quick, just to spell it out really clearly. When we say Fab's Total Pay can process, that's the same software and equipment that you would get with the grant. So what you need to process SNAP will also process EWIC. So
correct. And then the other form of WIC, which is I'm learning throughout the years that people are, when a lot of times when people just say WIC or when farmers just say WIC, they often mean the Farmers Market Nutrition Program WIC. That's its own separate benefit. So basically, eligible participants are usually issued FMNP coupons. Sometimes they're issued a card. Sometimes they're issued just a QR code to be scanned on whatever platform your state has decided they will run their FMNP program on. So it varies in every state. And WIC FMNP again serves folks that get WIC benefits. That's women, that's infants over 4 months old, or children ages 1 to 5. And then the other program for Farmers Market Nutrition Program is the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. So low income seniors who are at least 60 years old and have household incomes of not more than 185% of the federal poverty income guidelines. And so those are the two types of recipients that you see with the Farmers Market Nutrition Program. And it's funny, every state's different. Some states have a WIC program, some states don't have a senior program, some states don't have any, some states have both. It's just really depends on the state you're living in. And I will reiterate that, like, if you are having problems finding this information, you're more than welcome to reach out to Brianna and I, and we'll help you figure out what's going on in your state. Um, and who authorizes farmers market nutrition program vendors? That's usually the state's WIC agency issues the farmers market nutrition program for the WIC program, and then usually a state's Department of Agriculture or Department of Aging may issue the senior benefits. And again, like I said, it varies by state. I can't like sit here and tell you it's going to work the same in every one, but we can also help you figure it out. So the applications for this in each state, I do know this, it's almost always seasonal in every state. And applications for the recipients to get the benefit and for vendors to accept the benefit are usually seasonal. So funding and redemption are often seasonal and correspond with the local growing season. So traditionally, that's what I'm normally seeing is that whatever the growing season is in your state for the most part is when or the main growing season is when the farmers market nutrition program is happening. So for instance, I live in Maryland and it happens from June 1st to November 30th, if that makes sense. That's kind of like our growing season window here. So that's when that benefit is happening. And at the bottom, you can see some examples of what the vouchers look like in the past. Also, the QR code on an app, that's kind of what it looks like in our system with Total Pay if a state has signed up to use our software to administer that program. And then there are these other cards from some other states of what theirs looks like. It might be a QR code, it might have a like card number to it, like a we call that a bin number. It's like a identification number for each account, but those are kind of all the different examples. And like I said, again, if this is too much to figure out, we're happy to help you on figure it out in your state and point you in the right direction.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
want to second that. We're happy to help you figure it out. And then also, like, I live in New York, and I think that the deadline to participate in these programs for you would then be like the month before your season starts. So it might be April 15th or April 1st or something like that. So if this is something you'd like to participate in, then mark your calendar to apply for that by this time of year.
Correct. Usually over the winter is when all of the states kind of get their ducks in a row for the following growing season. And then go ahead and hit to the next. Oop, we went like three slides. We're good. Go back one. There you go. All right, now we're going to touch on nutrition incentive programs. Basically, what that is when somebody is getting an incentive to shop at the farmer's market or to shop with a farmer. That's an incentive for them to go buy food from these particular set of participating vendors. And that can be in the form of just an incentive, like meaning that they just get issued a lot of money every month to do that. It can also be a matching program. And that's the way we see it flush out in a lot of states or a lot of programs where it's a match. So the recipient will spend one of their federal nutrition benefits in order to get a match and get extra money to spend either with a farmer or at a market. So very often you'll see SNAP is matched this way. There are, federal grants to support that. And but in some states, like I said, I came from Maryland where we matched everything, not just SNAP. So it just again, it's hyper dependent on your local where you live and the organizations around you that are running these programs. So basically, it works by providing SNAP and other nutrition benefits to participants with more purchasing power and access to fruits and vegetables. And, the caveat to that is it's usually fruits and vegetables, but again, not every program is like that. Some programs will allow you to buy more than the fruits and vegetables. For instance, in Maryland, we used to allow all SNAP eligible foods to be purchased with the match. So they could get milk or eggs or meat or fruits and vegetables or a loaf of bread or something like that. Um, and it usually comes in the form of a paper voucher or tokens that match the recipient's dollars spent at the farmer's market or with the farmer to purchase fruit and vegetables specifically. Normally it is fruit and vegetables, but like I said, it could be other foods. And some notable big programs across the country that you might recognize the names of, the Double Up Food Bucks program. That is kind of what's the best way to say it? Like a template that a lot of states use. I know there's 25 states that use the Double Up Food Bucks branding where they have their own program, but they're kind of using that as a template to administer their program. In Maryland, we had Maryland Market Money Incentives. Hawaii has the Bucks. I love that. And then Florida has Fresh Access Bucks. But how to find one near you. Incentive programs are very decentralized, like I said. They can be run by a state government, they can be run by a regional nonprofit, they can be run by a partnership of the two. So, unfortunately, there isn't really a comprehensive list of all the incentive programs for you to find, but an online search for nutrition incentive programs near me will most likely find them. And again, just like with WIC and trying to figure it out, we're also happy to help you try to figure out what's going on around you, so we can help you identify that. And for these programs, again, they vary widely as well. Applications for recipients and vendors are usually seasonal, but there are year-round programs in some states. Again, it's sometimes it's dependent on the growing season and sometimes it's not. So funding and redemption can also be seasonal and correspond with your growing season, but it can also be year round. So once you identify that nutrition incentive program, you might want to reach out to whoever the organization is that's running the program, see and apply, see if you can participate. And then they'll give you all the rules of like when people can spend these benefits, how they get them, how it works, etc. Next slide, please. And then the very last type of other benefit that you can consider to help kind of diversify your revenue stream, there are produce prescription programs out there, and then there are OTC programs, and I'll kind of explain a little bit about each one. So, a produce prescription program works by providing benefits to medical patients. It's a prescription from a doctor that they're prescribing to them to eat certain foods. Um, or it's a supplemental healthy food benefit issued by doctors or sometimes health insurance providers. Individual food prescriptions usually come in the form of like a paper coupon or a token to spend at a farmer's market or with a farmer to purchase. Usually it's fruits and vegetables specifically. I don't think I've almost ever seen it anything other than fruits and vegetables. And again, these programs are often hyper local and decentralized. So trying to find them, you would just want to find it in an online search is probably your best way. I can say a lot of times, like a hospital system will have them, or a health insurance company, or maybe there's a local nonprofit that got a grant to fund this kind of work, and they're doing that, like a food council or something like that. And it usually works in partnership with like a health clinic or a doctor's office, where that health clinic or that doctor's office is writing the prescriptions for fruits and vegetables and giving it to their patients, and then their patients can go spend this money with the participating farmers or farmers markets. So they can be a little hard to uncover, but not really. I mean, they're around. So, and there's no like one online database or anything that I can refer you to, but we can also try to help you find one if that's what you're interested in. Next is OTC programs. And this is a kind of new thing over the last few years that Medicare Advantage policies offer, or other health insurance policies. And what it is, it's like an extra benefit that comes with insurance to buy healthy food. So, some OTC programs that are available, they almost always come on a debit card that is issued for electronic processing with participating food retailers. And so those retailers might be grocery stores, they might be farmers, they might be markets. Um, what I can say is this, if you can accept the cards, usually you're okay to participate. I don't know that there's exactly a um, online, like an application. Like you don't have to apply to like Humana to do it. You just have to be able to accept the cards. So um, our Total Pay apps, Total Pay Go, can also process OTC cards. And what that looks like is once you have your SNAP benefits and you have a Total Pay Go account, you can fill out an application, what we call an OTC addendum. So basically, you indicate that you're interested in being able to accept these different types of cards, and we'll set it up in your account so you can do that. And then that is pretty much, it's just anybody who's issued these cards as part of their healthcare policy can spend this with you. So some of the more notable OTC programs or providers of this type of benefit are Solutran and their S3 cards, the Humana Healthy Foods cards, and then there's something called the OTC Network, which I've included some photos of like what the logos look like or what they look like, because you might be at the farmer's market and you might have somebody say, "Hey, do you accept this?" Um, and if you're on Total Pay Go software, this is something we can add to your account if you want to accept those. Go ahead and to the next one. And then some resources. And like Brianna said, we'll make sure everybody gets a copy of this. Some of these are linked. So these are all places to look. So we included a Federal Nutrition Benefits EWIC best practices training, and these are actual links. So when you get these slides, these are links you can click on. The Farmers Market Legal Toolkit is helpful for a lot of things. We included the total pay OTC integration, so that'll explain all the three cards and what those are, etc., and how to add them. I included a link to the USDA farmers market programs. That kind of goes into farmers market nutrition program and like all of these other things. But that explains all the different things. The next thing, the NWA's WIC programs page, that is a list. NWA is the National WIC Association, and that's a nice comprehensive list of all the WIC programs across the country. So if you live in some uh, states, like where there might be a state, there might be an Indian tribal territory, there might be multiple WIC agencies within certain states. But that lists all of them, and we'll have the contact information for all of them. Then there's more information on summer sunbucks and all about it on the USDA website. Also, we included a link to the our state EWIC guide that kind of walks you through how to accept that fruit and vegetable benefit and what states have what kind of structure, etc. And if you have any questions on those, you can always reach out to us. And then the MarketLink resource library that lives on the MarketLink website has a lot of good info on all different types of programs and links and things like that. And then I also included this link to the Double Up Food Bucks site that covers like 25 different states that go by that Double Up Food Bucks branding for their matching program. So that's a good one-stop shop to find a program if you're in one of those states. All right, questions. I know that's a lot, and I'll be honest with you, it took me like 2 years to learn all these benefits and what they do and who can accept them. And like it's a big puzzle.
Puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anybody has
Yeah,
questions, oh, here we have some in the chat. This is awesome.
you do.
All right.
Yeah, I can read them to you, but it looks like you got it too.
Yeah. So it says we are in New York State and took the state training, but it turns out it's only available to farmers using Apple equipment. Okay. So yes, that is true. Right now, um, WIC processing on the Total Pay app only works on iOS devices, iPhones and iPads. We do anticipate it rolling out to Android devices. We're in the middle of rebuilding the whole app, so it would be silly to go back and just try to patchwork the app we have now. So when we release our new version of the app, probably within the next year, it will be Android also. My only suggestion is I feel like our software works better on iOS anyway. If that's something that you're looking at, a lot of states have um, free equipment programs and things like that where maybe they'll buy the tablet for you or the device itself. So there might be grants out there or things like that if that's a barrier, the device itself. Um, Let's see, where do funds come from for the senior produce program? They actually come from USDA. So how that works is that every year USDA sets out their budget for these farmers market nutrition programs, and states apply to participate. And then they give them a certain amount of money to do it, and then the state decides how much the benefit is. So the federal government may say, hey, certain state, we're going to give you this much money. And then the state is allowed to figure out how they want to divvy that up, whether that be like $30 per senior or how else they want to do it. It's pretty much up to the states to figure out how much the benefit is. And some states actually opt into like a produce box program instead of FMNP. So it just depends on whatever your state wants to do. But the funds actually do come from USDA and then trickle down into the state budget, and then they administer it how they want. And then let's see, I'm in New York. Seems like many programs. Again, we can reach out for direction to find these programs. Yes, you can absolutely reach out, and we can help you navigate like your own personal area, like what's available to you wherever you are. Um, and do recipients realize these programs are available? They should. So, for instance, SNAP folks should know where those are. WIC recipients should be receiving a list of authorized vendors to spend their WIC benefits. So your local state agency should be providing that information to recipients that this is available. You can also do a lot of that kind of marketing yourself if you want to. You can advertise that you accept SNAP benefits or you accept FMNP coupons or whatever. You're allowed to do that. Um, and I think, Brianna, you've had certain other webinars about connecting with those customers and kind of
Yeah,
meeting them
that's
where
right.
they
And we
are.
yeah, we have templates to utilize to help get the word out to your community if you don't feel that the recipients are could be more aware, then um
Yeah, so they should know. I know, like, for instance, as a case study, my former program, Maryland Market Money, we used to make a brochure with all the farmers markets and all the farmers that would accept the matching benefits. And we used to send this brochure in partnership with the SNAP agency in Maryland, and they would put that in the envelope every time somebody got a like SNAP benefit redetermination letter or something like that. They would stop. We would like deliver cases and cases of this brochure to their printing warehouse, and they would actually ship them out for us. And it lived on a website, and and all these other things. But yes, there's lots of different ways to reach those customers, but they should be getting touch points of saying, hey, this is a resource for you. You can go shop with farmers or farmers markets. And that's a good question to ask when you apply for these programs too. Like if you're applying for FMNP in your state and you want to accept it, I'm sure they'll tell you all the places that it's happening. Because customers ultimately do want to spend their benefits for sure. Any other questions? I don't see any more in the chat. If there's any other ones, go for it.
Okay, well, if you have questions, you can always jump in. We'll just take a quick look ahead as we wrap up today's meetup. So this is the schedule. We kind of close every new BU with the schedule. So I just want to drop it in as a reminder. Our next meetup's topic will be SNAP rules refresher and site visit preparation. So everyone can feel confident going into the growing season that should there be a site visit, that they're prepared. We're taking suggestions. I know things get really busy, especially in the northern part of the country from June through September. But if there are topics that you'd like covered, we can always record them and have them on file. So feel free to send me an email with anything you'd like to be covered. And then this Thursday, we have the last section of our of the NAFSN micro course, which is completely full. So that is the schedule coming up, and I think that's the last slide for the presentation. So yeah. Heather dropped the info email, so you can email us there. If you have any questions, you can also always email me. Um, and yeah, well, thank you so much, Heather. I really appreciate you sharing all that knowledge. I always learn something. Like you said, it taking you 2 years to learn all that while I'm still in my first year. So I still got a long way to go. I'm not sure I'm halfway there yet, and it's already been a year, so I better hit the books.
It's a
Um,
lot, and it gets confusing with all of the different WIC benefits that are for different things and the way that it's done differently in every state, and like it's a lot to wrap your head around. So, like we said, just to reiterate again, if you all are in your state and you're wondering like who to contact and what to do, please let us know. And then once Brianna sends you these slides, there's lots of good links in there for you to kind of click around and find some good stuff for yourself based on where you're located.
all
Well, is
right,
that
thanks again,
all?
Heather. Yeah. And if anybody have any other closing thoughts or questions? All right, seeing none and hearing none, I'm gonna close out today's meeting. Thanks again, everyone, for being here. We'll see you next month.